With more financial tips, Esther Halt with Star Financial Solutions is back, and she's explaining market corrections with us today. Well, market corrections.
Yeah.
What is a correction? I love when you come in because we get to talk about all of these terms that most of us don't get a chance to hear or get explained to us. So what is a correction?
A correction in the market is a downturn, short term, usually lasts maybe days or weeks, sometimes months, but that's it. And it happens almost every year.
Okay, now a normal amount of loss. What is that? What the market goes down? Is that what a normal amount consists of? Is there a range there?
Correct. Normally a correction will be between 5 and 15%. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. As you can see from the chart that we just posted, all those little red dots are corrections. Every year, the first one is 1980, so you can see pretty much every year since 1980 we've had one. Some aren't so much, some are more, but usually between 5 and 15%. If it's over 20%, they consider that more going into a bear market territory, which will last a little longer.
Okay.
But the gray lines is where the market has ended up every year. And as you can see, most years it's ended up higher.
Okay, now you mentioned bear market. What's different between a bear market and a crash?
Well, a bear market and a crash versus a correction.
Yes.
So a bear market is when it goes down further than 20%, and it can also last a bit longer. So generally, a bear market's going to last a year. We've had twice in history where it's lasted more than a year, and then you have a crash. Most people remember 2008. That was a crash. It went down, you know, the markets went down a lot in a short period of time. But they don't happen that often. And normally, as I said, and as the chart showed, it's usually just 1 year. 2000 was a bear market, and that lasted until the middle of 2002.
Okay. Now, back to the corrections. You said they happen almost every year. Why is that? Is there a particular reason, or is there any more of a reason during an election year than other years?
Sometimes there's no reason. A lot of times it's because the market's been going up for an extended period of time. So like last year, the market went up, and then in February we corrected. So a lot of investors are taking money out of the market. They're taking their gains. Sometimes there's rumors that come out and people sell on a rumor. Sometimes it's the news. There's a lot of negativity in the news lately, so people get nervous and they sell. You know, and then sometimes it just happens. But, you know, it usually isn't a big deal. You don't make decisions based on a correction. You know, you invest for the long term and you'll be fine. Okay,
now, in my investment, should I think about changing them because of these market corrections? I mean, should I do anything when I see these things happening, or should I just kind of sit tight, Esther?
Absolutely not. Unless you are a short-term trader, which most of my clients and most of the people I know are not. Timing the market, which is what that's called, usually does not work. You invest for the long term based on the risk you want to take and your long-term goals. And if it's just a correction, you ride it out and you're invested correctly. If there's something where a bear market is coming, that's a little different. And usually when a bear market is coming or a crash, you do have signs ahead of time so that you can get ready for that. Also, that's why you work with a financial advisor always, because they will know how to navigate the rough seas, and they will know when it's time to maybe make some changes in your portfolio, or if you just hold on because it's not expected to last longer than a few weeks or months, and you'll come back up again.
That's why it's good to have a person, like you said, such as yourself, to talk to, because, of course, I would be nervous, like anybody else that's investing their hard-earned precious dollars. So we come to you and you explain to us this isn't
the end of it's not the end of the world.
Right.
It's going to be okay. Yeah. Don't look for a little while. Yeah. And there's certain times when this happens, generally before elections. You usually get a little snarky. Whenever there is a question out there, the markets do not like questions. So until you have the answer, sometimes you get a correction.
And there's always questions out there,
Right.
right? So it is a normal thing that happens.
Correct, every year.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add before we close today?
Just work with an advisor, and when these things happen, don't worry, it's coming back. Again, if it's a crash, you're going to see things where companies aren't making money, the economy's having some issues, local stores are closing, people are starting to lose their jobs. If none of that's going on, or if there's no bubble, a lot of times a bubble will cause, a major market downturn. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay.
All right.
And
great.
it will come back.
Great. Well, thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Aging Gracefully on Suncoast FYI. To find more tips from local experts, you can view previous episodes and complete seasons at snntv.com under programming. We'll be back next Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. with more tips on how you can live a happier and healthy life. Until then, have a wonderful week.